Hello, I'm here to help you make your 1 minute film. My name is Jeffrey London. I'm one of the hosts of the Facilitation Impact Awards, and I'm a member of the International Association of Facilitators, the IAF. We're an organization that promotes the power of facilitation worldwide, and we think films like this can do a good job at helping others discover how to make an impact through facilitation. We'd like you to tell your story about your technique, your designs, your approach to facilitation, and how that makes a great impact. Your advice may be just the little nudge that another leader needs to make a real difference. We know that facilitation makes an impact, but a lot of people could be skeptical about, well, letting go of a bit of control to have a bit more empowerment. We know it brings about results and progress and change. Overall, your story can really help other leaders get the level of engagement and participation, sense of inclusion that can really deliver, more ownership of the results and the impact they make. So to do that, we need you to tell your story, and we've been getting a lot of leaders to tell their stories, so we want to give a few tips on how to make it really work the best. And you've got a PDF with all these slides, the tips are there, but just a little highlight. What are we talking about when we talk about facilitation? Because it's a word that means different things to different people. So we're talking about group processes, bringing people into collective action, things that tap that collective intelligence and really makes people work more effectively together. We know that that leads to impact, results, empowerment, change, things that really stick and get carried forward by people. That's what we're hoping to get from you. So that's a big mission. How can you pack in your story in just a minute? Well, it's a three-step process. The first step is to figure out what is the story that you want to tell? What's the message, the concept that you want to do? Once you've got your kind of piece of advice and you wrap it up in a story, then step two, you're going to film yourself, right? So we're going to show you some of the tips on the camera, the light, and action that's going to help you look good on film and get your message across. Once that's done, you send it in. We have a peek. We might give you a bit of coaching on making it better, but if it's good to go, we go directly into editing the footage, putting on the graphic design, and getting it out on social media so many other people can see it. We're hoping a lot of people will see it. So really important that, you feel comfortable with it and it comes across in a way that's compelling for others. Some of the films that have worked seem to follow a certain way. Oftentimes, it's about the way it starts, that hook, that way of catching attention, something that grabs them. Could be a rhetorical question, it might be a bold statement, but it's some kind of hook right up at the start. So let's look at one of our speakers and see how she did it.
Do I believe that facilitation has impact? For sure. Do I believe that it's one of the most important key skills for the future, for our leaders, for our teams, for our individuals and organizations navigating in a complex world and into an unprecedented and uncertain future? No doubt. We're a global, diverse and complex organization, and we operate in an equally complex market. We have hundreds and hundreds of teams collaborating. If we didn't use facilitation, we wouldn't thrive. We see that teams that use facilitation and share responsibility to do so, they develop faster as teams, as individuals, and at the same time create the results that we're aiming for. And in summary, facilitation fast forward our teaming process. It has impact.
Yeah, so a great example of creating curiosity right at the start and a nice, compelling close, concise and to the point. She happens to be responsible for learning and development and leadership development at Spotify. It's an organization that thrives thanks to facilitation in many ways. So, what could your story do to catch attention in the same way that Hedvig has there? Some things you may have picked up there is that it's a personal story. It's told with passion. You're highlighting benefits, a piece of advice, one piece, some kind of results, change, progress. Those are the key words we like to hear. And yeah, that minute needs a hook, an anecdote, or message. So it's a tale that you can tell, a bit of storytelling, and to tell a good story, yeah, there's some filming advised. So let's look at some of the tips. Basically, it's lights, camera, and action. Okay, so those are some of the things that we're going to be looking at. First one, it's about the mood, right? So what kind of background environment are you in? What kind of lighting is there? And to make sure that it creates a kind of a professional but relaxed atmosphere that helps people kind of put your story in some kind of context. The way you frame the shot really matters, all right? So we like a little space above your head, a bit of torso, a bit on the left and right. It's a horizontal frame. That's really important. And it's not kind of right up in your face. If we want to make a close up, we can zoom in. As long as you're using a high definition film, we should be good to go. Let's look at one example. This is Amy Bryn talking to us about what facilitation did for her organization. Have a little peek at the environment she's created and the messages she shares.
Hi, I'm Amy Bryn, the Executive Director and CEO of the Child Neurology Foundation. After working with Paul Cooper, I see that facilitation is not just another form of meeting management. Paul has taught me that true, authentic facilitation is about preparing and then holding a space for vulnerable, maybe even uncomfortable, but necessary dialogue to occur. I believe when you're in the presence of a facilitator that can bring this art, if you will, to light, it demands that truth be spoken and truth be seen. And when I work with an expert facilitator, I feel like I can be more courageous in using my voice on behalf of these children and their families. For the facilitator sets this stage for true, vulnerable, and altruistic conversations to be had. And I know that the roots of that conversation are planted in creating a better tomorrow for these children and their families.
So really interesting to see the settings. She's working in an area that benefits children. She's got the photos of children in the background. So what will reinforce your message? Is there a symbolic environment that would really help? How do you set the challenge for your thing? We need to know a bit of context. So before you jump into the advice and the conclusion or the moral or the thing that you're trying to get across, we want to know a little bit about what's the situation. So how are you going to do that in a quick and concise way to set up the moment where you can illustrate your advice with that storytelling? Now, one thing is going to really, have you ever seen a video that's like a sinking ship or going back and forth? It can make everyone feel a little weary. So you want to have a tripod or a friend with a very steady hand or just some masking tape that you can put your phone onto the back of a bathroom door so it can hook on there in a way that's not going to be too shaky. We know you're facilitators, so use your facilitative skill to get a little team together to help you out with this. When your friend is filming you, you're not looking at the friend, okay? You're looking in the camera, or if you put a little dot next to the camera, that's the thing you want to look to. But the attitude is you're simply talking to a friend, a professional friend who's looking for some advice on the kind of expertise that you have. A bit of good lighting goes a long way, With friends, you want to get together under candlelight with dinner. On video, you need proper lighting that's going to show you off in the best possible way. Natural light works great. Being by a window on a 3/4 view can really help. You can do it outside. Just watch out for traffic and squeaky birds and other kinds of wind in the grass and whatnot like that. Inside is probably preferred. If you want to use bright lights, fine, but try not to have them overhead. That's going to give you a lot of shine on the top. Look for more two different lights, one from the left, one from the right, that balances out and gives you a more well-rounded natural effect. Ultimately, you want to appear kind of dynamic on screen, right? So standing up works really well. You don't want to be slouched in a chair. If you're sitting on a stool or the front edge of a chair, that works quite well because it gives you kind of that energy that comes out into the film. That's what we would recommend, and we see it works better. So it's more like bring the conversation alive. Now, one person who has really influenced a lot of us on the way that we facilitate is Roger Schwartz. So let's have a little peek at what he has closing message.
Are you looking to increase your team's effectiveness? Consider having the team learn how to facilitate itself. You'll get out all the relevant information, understand each other's views, and solve problems in a way that they stay solved. You'll create higher quality decisions, more commitment, and reduce stress. Facilitation is a team effort, not just a leader's job. Everyone keeps the conversation focused and moving forward, identifies and resolves differences, and speaks up when the meeting process isn't working. As I explain in my book, Smart Leaders, Smarter Teams, the crucial part is shifting the team's mindset from unilateral control to mutual learning. That's because our mindset drives our behavior and the results we get. If the team's mindset is, I'm right, if you disagree, you're wrong, it undermines good facilitation techniques. When teams learn how their mindset undermines their work and start to think and act differently, they get the results they need on their own.
I love how deliberate he is with his vocabulary. He takes his big messages, brings them down to a soundbite, makes it very memorable. So, thinking about your message, what's the one thing that they need to remember? What's the one piece of advice that's really going to help them get the kind of impact that you're talking about? This is the kind of story that we'd like you to tell. So we could go on and on about presentation skills. You can Google it, and I think we all know and recognize what a good story looks like and a good presentation looks like. So it's really just you being there in a natural way. We're looking for a dynamic energy. If you're using gestures, keep your hands close to your face so we can see them. What we don't want is kind of looking off camera. So just talk to us like you're talking to a good friend about an important subject. As you're talking, we're hoping that the camera is picking up good sound. If you're using an iPhone or a decent recent computer, probably you're all set. If you got an older one, you might want an external microphone, the kind that clip onto your lapel. Those work very well. Try it out a little bit before you actually send it in. More than the visual, good sound quality really goes a long way. All right. So I hope with all of this, get you thinking a little bit. How are you going to prepare your story? What's the style you're going to do? What's the timing of it? What are those key messages? You got to keep it short, keep it simple, make it clear, and the compelling piece at the end, the thing they're going to remember. We want you to do this because we know you can do it. Your voice really makes a difference for others who want to follow in your footsteps. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. My name is Jeffer London. You've got my email there. It's jeffer@jefferlondon.com. If you want to send me on WhatsApp or email a note saying, this is what I'm thinking, this is my outline before you film it, that works great. I'm happy to give a little feedback before you get all set up. Otherwise, go for it. We think films like this can do a good job at helping others discover how to make an impact through facilitation.